Hello.
Hi.
How are things? 'Tis I, Chilium Pilium. Chilium Emporium. That's me. How's everybody doing today? Ayo, space.
Welcome.
How's it going, my guy? Actually, just the guy that I wanted to see, because I have something I want to read to you that I thought you might find interesting. So I got this book recently from Bitmap Books. And this is the N64, a visual compendium. And this is a book that contains information about every single N64 game, including, well, let me just read from page 184 for you. The Nintendo 64 was a home to bevy of 3D platformers built around a simple but solid idea. A cute character embarking on a grand adventure. From Super Mario 64 to Banjo-Kazooie and more, there was no lack of titles to prove the popularity of this format. Not every character-centric 3D platformer was an instant success, however. There were a few that fell by the wayside. Case in point, Glover. Following the adventures of a magical sentient glove on a quest to restore the Crystal Kingdom, Glover was well received by many of the critics who played it. But the big problem was that not many other people played it besides them. Which is a shame, because Glover frequently proves itself to be a charming and creative take on the 3D platforming genre. Traveling through 6 different worlds, the player is tasked with battling monsters, collecting items, and overcoming obstacles and puzzles. At the core of its mechanics is the ability to manipulate a rubber ball. The title character can throw the ball and use it to roll around environments, bounce to higher ledges, and even walk on water. Did you know that you can swim in the water? Jump in the water? You can. The ball also has different forms with different uses. Entering codes transforms it from rubber into a metal ball bearing or even a bowling ball, altering its effects within the game world. Glover didn't sell particularly well when it was originally released, but it would go on with time to become a steaming pile of shit. Oh! Now, I was pointing this out to Ratter, but I'm not kidding. They have this. It's not alphabetical, by the way, but they have Glover on page 184, and then immediately after, on page 186, Ocarina of Time. They have these two back to back. They needed you. They needed you to forget about the pain of Glover by instantly bringing your spirits back up. It's like, no, don't stop reading. Don't stop reading. We have Ocarina of Time. Look! It's a good one. The 2 best games of the 90s. I thought you would get a kick out of that. No, but seriously, these Bitmap books are really, really cool. I've got one for the NES and the SNES, and they do the same thing. It's every single game and a little blurb about each thing. Then it also goes into like the history of the console and all that stuff. It's pretty cool. Is there a game that you want me to read out loud really quick that you can think of? I can do a little bit of reading while we're starting things up. But yeah, pretty cool. Mario Golf, Mission Impossible, Harvest Moon 64. Sure, let's take a look at that. Is it under something else? I thought they had Harvest Moon 64. Hold on. They do have some Japanese titles, so I'm wondering if it might be under... What was the Japanese name for Harvest Moon? I mean, they have the 64 DD. Is it Nushitori 64? 2, 3, 4. No. There's no way they don't have Harvest Moon 64. They got Glover, but they don't have Harvest Moon 60. They got Buck Bumble in here. They got Gex 64. Where the fuck is Harvest Moon? You kidding me right now? You kidding me with this bullshit? There ain't no way. Ain't no way, bro. Ain't no way. Quake 64, 1080 snowboarding, Steerfix, Rogue Squadron, Robotron, Yoshi Story, Mystical Ninja starring Goemon, Extreme G. Well, Ratter has successfully named, apparently, the one game this book doesn't have. Unless it is known by something else in the East, and it is in the West. They got a 2-page thing. Yeah, right? What the fuck? Go through the list here. 1080, Arrow, Aiden Chronicles, All-Star, Army Men, Bakuretsu Muteki. That's the one N64 game I ever... Burn it! It's garbage! Beetle Racing, Blast Corps, Body Harvest, Bomberman, Buck Bumble. I just love Buck Bumble is in here, but we're having trouble finding Harvest Moon. Conquers Bad Verde, Cruisin', Densha, De Go. Dezamon, Diddy Kong Racing, Dobutsu no Mori. Wait, that's Harvest, or that's not Harvest Moon. That's Animal Crossing, isn't it? Yeah, that's right. The original Animal Crossing wasn't released on on GameCube. It was released on N64. I'm so glad I never got that game for Christmas. Oh, I never played Army Men either, but as a kid I envisioned it as being this amazing game. Oh, yeah. It looked interesting. I remember renting it from Blockbuster back in the day, and all I had to do was rent it once. And I was good. Let's see, Mario Golf, Mario Party, Mickey Speedway, Mischief Makers, that's a good one. Neon Genesis Evangelion, Nightmare Creatures, Nushitori, Ogre Battle, Paper Mario, PGA European Tour Golf, Pilot Wings, Pokemon Snap, Pokemon Stadium 1 and 2, Puyo Puyo Sun, Quake 64, Ready to Rumble, Resident Evil 2, Ridge Racer 64, Road Rash, Robotron, Rocket Robot on Wheels, Shadow Man, Shadowgate 64, Sin and Punishment, Snowboard Kids, South Park, Spider-Man, Star Fox, Star Wars Episode 1. I got some stuff to say today. What's up, everyone? What's up, Keyshawn? Super Robot Wars 64, Superman. Ooh, we should read the one on Superman. Put a pin in that. Top Gear Rally, Sumito Batsu, Hoshino Keishosha. Turok 4 times, Wetrix, World is Not Enough, Yoshi Story, and then they got 64 DD. What the fuck? What the fuck? Talk a lot, right? It's good. It keeps conversation going. A bit too much. 236. Before we start this, we need to read what they have to say about Superman, the new Superman Adventures. Is the overused title of The Worst Blank Ever simply too subjective to apply to all? Do our differing tastes ensure that not one single piece of media content can be so utterly wretched that no one can find merit in it? Let me introduce you to the worst N64 game ever. Titus' 1999 game, Superman, puts the player in the role of one of the world's most iconic superheroes. What incredible adventures can await? Well, for the half of them, you're tasked with flying through a series of almost impossibly close checkpoints through a flat metropolis cityscape. Yes, flying is a chore in a Superman game. The game's rendition of Metropolis is equally as poorly realized as the non-control method. The draw-in distance stretches meters in the horizon due to Lex Luthor's release of Kryptonite Fog. This developer's excuse is as laughable as the game's remaining levels. Alternating the joy of the flying stages, Superman wanders around on foot across equally poorly implemented indoor levels, battling the same foes over and over again, as the player struggles to decide which style of play they hate more. Superman is simply horrible. It fails on every possible level. No hyperbole. This is the worst N64 game ever. Fact. And this was an excerpt written by James Gale, a game journalist. Yeah, I mean, he's not wrong. Advertising an intentionally bad game. Anything else that stands out? Anything else that stands out? Okay. I just thought that was fun. Bitmap Games. If you want to take a look at all their books, they got a lot of stuff. Commodore 64, N64, Super NES, NES. I think they even have one on like Micro Machines. But yeah, let us continue this court case. See if we can make some headway here, huh? All right. But let me know how the volume is. The game? Never heard of it. The game. You just lost it. Cue laugh track. That wasn't the one I was going for, but it works. This is the defendant lobby, alright, but there's no defendant. I've been trying to reach Lana all morning. Where could she... I've been trying to reach Lana all morning. Where could she be? And where's Emma, for that matter? It almost seems as if something's been happening behind the scenes. Ah. Edgeworth! Knowing you, you've probably already figured it out. Who's the owner of the 7 ID number is... who the owner of the 7 ID number that is... Jesus. Who the owner of the 7 ID number is, that is. Well, I have a pretty strong hunch. Looks like I'm not the only one who's figured it out. You know, the only reason this trial didn't reach a verdict yesterday is because there was still room for doubt regarding this ID record. If that number does belong to whom you suspect, then no doubt will remain. After all, he hasn't been officially charged with anything. True. Not yet. In any event, once all doubt has been removed from that list, I can call for a ruling. 5 minutes, Wright, and Chief Prosecutor Skye will be found guilty. But she didn't do it! I figured you'd say as much. That's why I came here. To hear what you have to say. This is the first time he's ever done something like this. Lana's hiding something, and the only way we'll ever know the truth is to draw it out of her. The truth? Everything goes back to the SL9 incident. Don't be stupid! Today's the last day of the trial. We don't have time for that shit. That depends on you. If she's found guilty, you'll lose your only chance to find out what really happened. I'll think about it. See you in court, Wright. This is it. If I'm ever gonna find out what Chief Gant has on her, it's now. Are we still fighting for Lana's case? Yeah, this is the final day. February 25th, 10 a.m. District Court, courtroom number 9. Peas and carrots, peas and carrots, peas and carrots. Court is now in session for the trial of Miss Lana Skye. The defense is ready, Your Honor. The prosecution is ready, Your Honor. Normally, this is when the prosecution puts forth its opening statement. But before that, the police chief has a proposal to make. Chief Gant. Morning, folks! How's everyone doing? Hey, Uji. Been back to the pool yet? Oh, Uji. No. I've been drowning enough as it is in my work. Oh, that's a good one! Don't think I can top that. If you don't mind me asking, Chief, exactly what is this proposal of yours? Lana, that's to say, the defendant, has asked if she could speak directly to the court. She wants to do what? Having heard what she intends to say, I feel she should be granted her request. In the end, it should save everyone a lot of time and trouble. So I ordered an art portfolio case to keep my drawings in that I might want to share later. When I went to pick it up, they came out with a box that was the size of a folding table. I realized that I made a terrible mistake. I managed to get it into my car barely, and now I have this giant-ass case and no idea where to put it. Unlucky. It should have been the size of your house! What's this all about, defendant? I'd like to make one simple request, and I'll be finished. Well then, what's your request? Your Honor, I'd like you to put an immediate end to this trial. Huh? I confess to all charges against me. On February 21st of this year, I murdered Detective Bruce Goodman in the underground parking lot of the prosecutor's office. It was a case designed for, like, full-size portrait painting. Oh. Oh, no. You can't! Your Honor, the defendant claim does not change the defense's plea. In that case, Mr. Wright, I no longer require your services. But, Lana! Your Honor, I hereby forfeit my right to an attorney. The prosecution may lack direct evidence against me, but it has sufficiently proven its case through testimony and circumstantial evidence. I would like you to render your verdict now, if you please. Well, the defendant certainly has the right to self-representation. Her request is legally valid, although this is an unprecedented situation. Indeed, it appears there's no further need to continue this trial, even if Mr. Wright may feel otherwise. This can't be happening. It appears the time for the verdict has arrived. This court finds the defendant... Objection! One moment, Your Honor. Mr. Edgeworth. The prosecution has not yet proven the defendant guilty beyond reasonable doubt. Any ruling at this stage would certainly be premature. Come now, Worthy. I understand this is a difficult time for you, but why don't you just be a good little boy and keep your mouth shut? I don't think I care for your tone, Chief Gunt. But? Creating another fabrication to cover up your past mistakes. Sorry, but I'm no longer the naive little boy you would have me be. With this sudden confession from the defendant, it's obvious to me some kind of deal was struck behind the scenes. Some kind of deal, Not everyone operates as you do, Worthy. I thought so. Your Honor, the prosecution would like to change its first witness. Oh? To whom? As its first witness, the prosecution would like to call Ms. Emma Skye. I request the court hears her testimony. Mr. Edgeworth, I am exercising my right to self-representation. I don't think we need to continue. I don't care what you think, Ms. Skye. The exposure of truth sometimes results in tragedy. However, no matter how tragic the truth may be, it would be an even greater tragedy to avert one's eyes from it. Very well. The court shall grant the prosecution's request. That's okay with you, right, Chief Gunt? Worthy, you'll live to regret this. Mark my words. Ms. Emma Skye, please take the stand. Edgeworth is going crazy right now. Looks like Edgeworth has decided to take the horse by the reins. Now then, witness, please state your name and occupation.
My name is Emma Skye. My occupation? I'm Lana's little sister, and I want to be a scientific investigator.
2 years ago, you encountered the serial killer Joe Dark of the Joe Dark killings. Is this correct?
Yes. I'm trying my hardest to forget about that, though.
I'm sorry, but I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you to recall those events one more time. Mr. Edgeworth, please remember this trial concerns the murder of Detective Goodman. Is an incident that was resolved 2 years ago really all that relevant? Yes, it most certainly is. Well, okay then. He sure came in fast. Now, please testify about what happened to you 2 years ago. The trip to yesteryear has finally begun. It's bound to lead to the truth behind this trial.
I was waiting in my sister's office that day. A man came running in and took me hostage. Neil Marshall rescued me, but I'll never forget what I saw in that instant. The man raised up his knife and stabbed Mr. Marshall in the chest.
It's a good thing you weren't harmed.
I passed out. I don't remember much.
That's understandable. However, please tell me, Mr. Edgeworth, what does this testimony have to do with Detective Goodman's murder? That will soon become apparent, Your Honor. You've got to admire him for his courage, considering he has no evidence. Very well. The defense may begin its cross-examination. Begin its cross-examination. I was waiting.
2 years ago, the defendant was a detective at the police department, correct? Yes. She was second in command under the deputy chief of police Gant. My sister, she was the best detective ever!
Yes, I remember. Deputy Chief Gant and Miss Skye used to be quite the pair. I believe they shared the same office.
That's right. I'd always sit at my sister's desk and dream about playing that organ. I wanted to play it that day, too.
The police department and prosecutor's office held a ceremony that day.
Lana promised to take me to dinner after she finished her work. A man came running in and took me hostage.
A man?
Yes, Joe Dark. He was a serial killer.
Joe Dark was brought in for questioning on the day of that ceremony. We were desperate to get anything on him that would lead to an arrest. When he saw his chance, he fled the room, right? Upon fleeing the room, Dark proceeded to take the elevator. He must have been in a panic because the elevator was going up. Then he ran into Sky and Gant's office.
There was a lot of noise coming from outside, so I opened the door to have a look. That's when I saw him. What was the prosecutor doing there?
That day, there were two people present during Dark's questioning, Deputy Chief Damon Gant and Prosecutor Neil Marshall. Almost forgot about Gant. Neil Marshall had just received the King of Prosecutors Award. Young and dedicated, he went straight to the questioning room after the ceremony. I assume that would also be why he was the first to run after Dark.
When Dark grabbed me, I thought I was as good as dead.
And that's when Prosecutor Marshall came running in.
I don't clearly remember what happened then, but... Can you tell us about that? Mr. Marshall jumped on Dark. Just then, the lights went out.
The lights?
It was just about this time of year. There was a terrible storm going on, and lightning struck nearby.
So the electricity went out. Wait a minute. If it was pitch dark in that room, you shouldn't have been able to see anything, right?
Right, but just then, lightning flashed again outside. That sudden flash left an unforgettable image of the scene in my mind.
How does she remember this? I mean, it's kind of hard to forget a traumatic event. I see.
I told the detective about what I saw then.
The detective?
Yeah, Detective Goodman. He was in charge of the case.
Detective Bruce Goodman, the victim. Let's stop. Poor Emma. These memories are really torturing her. She's been through enough already. No, but she passed out. She passed out after she saw the guy about to stab Neil. Thank you, Emma. You don't have to go into any of that. Now then, please tell us. This scene that imprinted an image in your mind, can you please describe it to us?
The man raised up his knife and stabbed Mr. Marshall in the chest.
That must have been a real shock.
Even now, when I close my eyes, I can still see it just as clearly.
Tell us, what were you doing at that moment? I believe you testified that Joe Dark was holding you hostage.
When lightning struck and the lights went out, Mr. Marshall jumped on Dark. I was thrown aside, and the two began wrestling each other. I'm pretty sure I was watching them.
Emma doesn't have any reason to lie, but Lana sure does. I need to get Emma to tell me as much about this as she can.
I was waiting in my sister's office that day.
2 years ago, the defendant was a detective at the police department, correct?
Yes.
Oh, my sister, she was the best detective ever. Okay, we're past all that. Now I gotta present some evidence. Okay, let's see. Man came running in, took me hostage. What evidence do I have here? Ah, there it is, stabbed in the back. Your Honor, what do you think about the witness's statement?
I'm not sure I follow.
It clear... What? Are you kidding me? Clear handprint. The drawing. Let's see, that doesn't look like a knife. I'm gonna save scum so I don't lose any more health. And give that a try. Nope. Now you get how to play the game. Seems pretty shitty, but yep. Save scum. Save scum the game. Single stab wound. Now, what's interesting is this doesn't say anything about stabbing in the back, but then this thing says stabbed in the back, died from a punctured heart and lung. Knife tip was found, but then she says stab Mr. Marshall in the chest. But yeah. I already tried that, and they didn't like it. Let's see. Maybe something about the SL9. I think keep pushing her. On that one where... Oh. Okay. Da 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 da. Must have been a real shock. Lightning struck. Mr. Marshall jumped on Drake! Anna sure does. Oh, which one was it? Let's see. Man. Joe Donk. Can you tell us about that? Okay. So you spoke with Detective Goodman about this 2 years ago?
Yes. That's what's so scary about this trial.
And you told Detective Goodman about what you saw?
Yes, but at the time, the words just wouldn't come out. That's why I drew a picture.
A picture?
Yeah, I think she mentioned that before.
Well, Mr. Wright, have you heard enough? Ask about the picture.
This picture the witness drew, I believe it has a very important meaning.
But the list of evidence I was given 2 years ago didn't contain a picture. Witness, would you mind if we added this statement to your testimony?
Yes, Your Honor. I drew a picture of that scene once, but it seems to have been lost.
Has it, though? Ah! Mr. Edgeworth.
This little girl put all her heart into drawing that picture. This little girl put all her heart into drawing that picture. And yet, you would insist on denying its existence?
Huh? Hey, I'm not the bad guy. All I'm saying is that as the prosecutor for that case, I wasn't handed such a picture.
That may well be. But that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Behold!
This is the evidence list for the SL9 incident.
Please turn it over, Your Honor.
Turn it over. Turn it... Oh! What's this? Dear Lord! This is terrible!
Yes, what is that? Hey, that's it! That's the picture I drew!
Indeed. 2 men appear to be wrestling here. What's the meaning of this? What are you doing with that list?
Me?
Only the prosecutor in charge should have access to that list. Huh? These lists, they're different from each other. What? It would appear, Mr. Edgeworth, that the evidence list you were handed 2 years ago was incomplete. These 2 lists fit together to form one. You can see the marks here where they were torn apart from each other.
So you see, Mr. Edgeworth, it's quite obvious what happened. 2 years ago, only half of the evidence in that case was ever reached you.
What? Order! Order! But, Miss Guy, why did you draw your picture on the back of such an important list?
Because that's what Detective Goodman handed me in the questioning room, Your Honor. Wait a minute. If this list was torn in half, then that means...
Your Honor! Are you all right, Mr. Wright? Your eyes are bulging from your head.
If the evidence list was torn in half, then there might be more of the drawing on the back of Mr. Edgeworth's list.
Yes, that's quite conceivable. Mr. Edgeworth?
It's possible. Let's see. How does he never see it?
Is something wrong?
Do you even have to ask?
Sorry, Your Honor. There is indeed something drawn on the back of my list. Is that thing? That's that thing. That thing that was dancing in the evidence room? Clearly, this act of vandalism is in the work of a certain chief of detectives.
I guess he was out of scrap paper. Oh, Lord.
The Blue Badger! Very well, witness. Will you please testify about this picture you drew 2 years ago?
Huh? Oh, yes, sir, Your Honor. What's wrong with Emma? She seemed to be thinking about something when she was looking at the picture.
Sentence the vile scum! He'll dance behind bars forever.
This is the picture I drew 2 years ago. The flash of lightning was so bright, all I could see were shadows. After that, I must have fainted. This picture shows exactly what I saw in that instant.
To think a flash of lightning could burn such an image in your mind.
It's kind of like how a camera works. Thanks to that, though, she was able to show us exactly what she saw.
Well, I don't see any contradictions here. This clearly shows Joe Dark about to murder prosecutor Neil Marshall. The defense may now begin its cross-examination.
Did you draw this picture right after the incident? I think I drew it 2 or 3 days later. At first I was in such a state of shock that I couldn't do anything.
During that time, the investigation team was reorganized. Detective Goodman was placed in charge, under the direction of Damon Gant and Lana Skye.
2 or 3 days later. The memory should still have been fresh in her mind.
Excuse me, witness. But can you please tell us why this picture is painted all black?
So at the time you didn't even know it was Mr. Marshall who came in to rescue you? No, I couldn't see him clearly. The lightning was so bright, and I was knocked to the floor. You were knocked to the floor? Dark had a tight grip on me, but when Mr. Marshall jumped on him, I was knocked away. I turned around, and that's when lightning flashed. Poor Emma. I'm just glad she wasn't hurt.
What happened after the lightning flashed?
After that, I must have fainted. You mean you didn't see the actual murder take place? No, I'm sorry.
The flash of lightning only drove off the darkness for a split second. Not only that, but the trauma of the situation understandably caused the witness to faint. Do you really need to torture this girl any further?
What? Hey, I'm not the bad guy here. Anyway, this picture... Sorry for asking so many times, but are you sure you drew exactly what you saw? Of course! This is the exact scene. It wasn't influenced in any way from your talks with the detectives.
Are you insinuating we somehow manipulated her memory, Mr. Wright?
No, of course not. I better watch out, or he might find some way to cut my salary. I drew this picture before I heard anything from the detectives, so I don't think anyone's story would have influenced me.
Mr. Wright, is there something that's bothering you about this picture?
Huh? Oh, well... That's strange. She claims this is exactly the scene that was imprinted in her mind, and yet there's clearly a contradiction here. Flash of lightning. Oh, I could see were shadows. Let's see. Clear handprint. No. 7 in the back contradicts picture. Let's see. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but this picture the witness drew contains a blatant contradiction. What? but I still remember it just like it was yesterday.
Mr. Wright, perhaps it would be faster if you simply pointed out this contradiction for us. What part of this picture contradicts the autopsy? That? Nope. The big blue hand. The act of making an innocent girl cry should warrant the death penalty. The hand, probably. The contradiction, of course, lies here. Take a look at the knife the man is holding. If you look closely, you can see its tip is broken. Destroy everyone in the room! Make her cry! Even I don't have to look closely to see that, Mr. Wright.
But, Mr. Wright, look at the evidence. See the murder weapon? Its tip is broken too.
If I recall, the tip of the knife was found broken off in the victim's body.
It was a conclusive piece of evidence that proved Joe Dark was the murderer. I'm afraid it's not so simple, Emma.
And where, pray tell, could you possibly see a problem?
It's obvious, really. The victim suffered a single stab wound to the back. If the victim was only stabbed once, then the murder weapon should not yet be broken.
Ah! What's the meaning of this?
Perhaps the knife was broken beforehand. Sorry, but I'm afraid that's not possible. The tip of the knife was found inside the victim's body. If it was broken beforehand, it couldn't possibly wind up there.
That's right. But what does this mean?
The tip of the knife was undeniably discovered within the victim's body. The only possible explanation is the witness's memory is mistaken. That's why I asked her so many times if she was sure she remembered correctly. I believe you were annoyed at that time, but she was sure she remembered correctly.
But there's no other way to explain this inconsistency.
Not so fast, Mr. Edgeworth. There is another explanation. Have you forgotten already? About a little something called falsified evidence?
You're treading on thin ice, Wright?
All I'm saying is that this broken knife tip might be the piece of evidence that was forged. You can't deny the possibility.
No. Order! 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 Are you saying the investigation really was corrupted?
Your Honor, please allow me to once again go over the events that took place the day of the murder. The police department and the prosecutor's office were holding a ceremony that day. After receiving the King Prosecutor's Award at the ceremony, Neil Marshall questioned Joe Dark along with Damon Gant. During his questioning, Joe Dark fled the room. Prosecutor Marshall chased after him and was killed by Dark. It is my belief that somewhere in this story, there is a lie. I'm not lying. The man really was holding up a broken knife.
If that's true, then there's no other way around it. This could not have been the actual murder weapon. There must have been another broken knife. The song is coming up. What are the chances of there being two broken knives?
Another broken knife besides Joe Dark's? Could there have been one? If the witness is this adamant about the accuracy of what she saw, It can't just be explained away by simple observational error. Mr. Wright. In that instant, Emma really did see a broken knife.
I assume, then, that you have some information about this other broken knife. If so, please feel free to enlighten us.
The murder weapon was already broken prior to the murder. There's only one way. Take a look at this. Here's the real murder weapon. Let's see. It either wants me to do the picture or the shield. If anything's broken here, it's you.
Huh? I'm sure this must be all very amusing to you, Mr. Wright. But may I remind you...
God damn it. The answer lies in the past. 2 years ago in the past. Right here, inside this picture. This is a picture of the awards ceremony. Oh, this is a picture of the awards ceremony.
What is it, Mr. Edgeworth?
It's the broken murder weapon. Notice the award Prosecutor Marshall is holding. That's a broken knife. As we earlier concluded, the knife in the drawing was not Joe Dark's knife. That being the case, the knife the witness saw was in all likelihood from this award.
Order! Order!
Neil Marshall was awarded King of Prosecutors that day. As an award, he was given this broken shield and knife. When he chased after Joe Dark, he pulled out his knife. Being a prosecutor, he did not carry a pistol. This broken knife was the only weapon he had in this dangerous situation.
But that can't be.
Oh? And why not, Mr. Edgeworth?
Because if the King of Prosecutors award knife was the murder weapon, then the murderer and the victim would be reversed.
The real murderer was Candace. Here's the real weapon. These nuts.
Got him!
What do you mean?
I mean...
This man raising a knife would have been Prosecutor Neil Marshall. Oh. Oh!
But the prosecutor was the only one who actually died.
Oh.
But the prosecutor was the only one who actually died.
That's true. What's going on here?
It seems Mr. Wright has been a bit too eager to jump to conclusions.
Wait! I remember now! I remember everything!
Can this be true?
Witness? Mr. Edgeworth!
What is it?
Could you show me your evidence list again, please?
His list? The one with that picture scribbled on the back.
I knew it. This picture. I'm the one who drew it.
What?
You drew that? That's right. The list wasn't torn in half at the time I drew this picture. All this time, I've been trying so hard to forget. I must have locked this part away deep inside of me.
Perhaps it would be best if we added this to the witness testimony. Would you please tell us what you recalled, Miss Skye?
Yes, Your Honor. First the knife mix-up, and now the blue badger? This should be interesting.
feel ashamed for making that joke. The most turbulent court case ever.
When I saw the man raise his knife, I panicked and rushed towards both of them. I think I knocked away the man with the knife. Just then there was another flash of lightning, and that's when I saw the blue badger. He wasn't in the room, but I'm sure I saw his shadow.
This is certainly most unusual. There's nothing unusual about it. Try impossible. The chief of detectives hadn't even designed him until this year.
That would mean he didn't even exist 2 years ago.
Yes, well, the defense may now do its cross-examination.
Stop, please. Don't pursue this any further.
Lana, what's the meaning of this? Please remain seated in the defendant's chair.
But you can't do this. I've already confessed to the crime. Why can't you just leave it at that?
Chief Prosecutor Sky, we've already come this far. It's too late to turn back. Bro was the man behind the slaughter. Silence! The defense will now begin its cross-examination. Bailiff, please detain the defendant.
Seems we're finally getting to the core of the matter. When I saw the man raise his knife, I panicked and rushed towards both of them. I think I knocked away the man with the knife. Just then there was another flash, and that's when I saw the blue badger. He wasn't in the room, I saw his shadow. Okay. Let's get to the blue badger. Press her. But wait, she passed out, but then she didn't. Could be that she blacked out, which doesn't necessarily mean you passed out, just means that you've blotted out parts of your memory. It's the what's it called? It's called anterograde amnesia, and basically that's what happens whenever you get something like general anesthetic for operations. It's basically the brain's inability to create new memories. The memories are still technically there, but not at the same time, if that makes sense. So that's what being like a blackout is. Are you sure about this? Of course. See? I even drew a picture of him here.
But it was the chief of detectives who thought of this hideous beast. And that was just this year. The blue badger didn't exist 2 years ago. This is quite verifiable.
I know it sounds strange. I was surprised too when I saw him in the police department. I had this nagging feeling that I'd seen him before somewhere. Now I finally remember.
Brr. Oh, brother. Just when you thought this thing had caused enough commotion. Tell us, where in the room did you see him dancing?
He wasn't in the room, but I'm sure I saw his shadow.
In programming terms, the memory is allocated to the heap and freed without persistence. I'm sure that I saw his shadow. Ooh. No. Okay, so I can see the two side things on his head with this. but there's no top little dangly bit. Oh. Do we have that handle, though? If I present this, is it gonna fuck me? Alright. Who's the chief again? Dixon? Dickface? Yeah. Yeah, that's him. Officer Gumshoe. Detective Gumshoe, I mean. Okay. Let's go. Here you go. The mysterious blue badger was in fact this. But that's... what exactly is that? I believe it's some sort of jar.
But Mr. Wright, that doesn't look anything like the blue badger.
Indeed, it doesn't. As it stands now, it's just a plain jar. However, what if we were to change our viewpoint? Our viewpoint? I've got to show them the correct angle to look at this form. Something like that. Like that. Allow me to remind the defense. Da 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 do 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 do. Ryder's upset. The rat do be mad though. Come on, Mr. Wright. You can do it. Make it look like the thing. Okay, so these guys have to be pointed down. Maybe it just wants it like that. No. He gave you a tip. What, like that? Hello? Oh my god! Tough. Jesus. Fucking stupid. Well, is this a miracle or what? Wow. No one can possibly deny this jar resembles a resemblance to the blue badger. No, it can't be! Order! Order! The defense has proven its claim. I don't see it. This is so silly. The mysterious blue badger witnessed on the day of the crime was actually this. Although we all enjoyed Mr. Wright's dramatic performance, one question remains. What's your point? What do you mean? So that badger thing was actually just a jar. That doesn't change anything! I'm afraid that's where you're wrong, Mr. Edgeworth. You see, this changes everything. Indeed. Very well then. Please tell us, what's different now that we know the witness on this jar? I think it is location. Just to be sure. Allow me to take these in turn. At the moment of the murder, the witness saw this jar. At a very specific angle, I might add, Mr. Wright. Yes, well, knowing this, where could she have seen this jar? Where? The location of the jar shown in the picture taken on the day of the crime. It's on a shelf in the office of Damon Gant. But the body was found lying near Lana Sky's desk. The witness testified so herself. Yes, and it is these two facts that reveal what actually transpired. You see, the struggle between Dark and Marshall did not take place in Lana Sky's office. It happened on the other side of the room in Chief Gant's office. Are you implying the murderer moved the victim's body? From Damon Gant's office to Lana Sky's office? Yes. Why would he do that? There's no reason. No court case is this turbulent, bro. No way. Ain't no way. Exactly. If there wasn't a reason, he wouldn't have gone through the trouble. The only logical conclusion is that there was a reason. Do you know what the reason was, Mr. Wright? I finally figured it out. So this is why Lana tried to stop the trial. It's too late to quit now, though. Please recall the witness's testimony. She said she knocked away the man who was holding up the knife. In the next instant, the jar was hit and flew through the air. Now tell me, what could have sent the jar flying? That would have to have been the impact the man made when he was knocked into the wall. Ladies and gentlemen, if I may draw your attention to this picture once more. If the man was knocked in the direction of the shelf the jar was sitting on, what would he have to hit? Ah! The suit of armor, holding a very sharp and dangerous-looking sword. Yes. And since the man who was knocked into the armor was carrying a broken knife, he would have to have been Neil Marshall wielding the King of Prosecutors trophy. No, Mr. Wright, you can't be thinking. Yes. There is another possibility of what actually transpired in that room. Another possibility? Of course, the perpetrator would have had no idea, but nevertheless, I don't know if I can go through with this. Mr. Wright, what's the matter? If events took place as the defense theorizes, then the outcome is obvious. In that moment, assuming the man Emma Sky knocked away was actually Prosecutor Neil Marshall, Emma killed him! Emma! You mean Mr. Marshall died because of me? Hit him with the old pimp hand. No! Thud. I never imagined her testimony would lead to this. So it was the witness who took the victim's life, and then proved so with her own testimony. This is unprecedented. That sounds terrible, actually. Now I feel bad. What? What are you saying? I'm sorry, Miss Sky, but given the circumstances, Joe Dark murdered Prosecutor Marshall. How can you think it was Emma? How dare you try to pin the crime on her? Imagine that coming from you. If you recall, it was you who admitted to forging evidence 2 years ago. The reason you moved Prosecutor Marshall's body was to keep anyone else from finding out about what Emma did, wasn't it? I assure you, Mr. Edgeworth, I have no idea what you're talking about. If you hope to have anyone believe your insane allegations, I'm afraid you're going to have proof. Tell me, do you have any conclusive evidence that proves my sister killed Neil Marshall? Evidence? I'm willing to bet you don't. Yes, it certainly would be difficult to prove this with evidence. If we don't have evidence, then we'll have to rely on testimony. I'm afraid that won't work in this case. Both parties involved in the incident are dead. We certainly can't get dead people to testify. This has all been a wild goose chase from the beginning. Get your, psychic buddy. She can commune with the dead. Touche, Miss Sky. Of course, that only leaves us with one possibility.
You mean there's still another possibility?
What do you mean, Mr. Edgeworth? I mean the possibility that the victim has left us a message. For better or for worse, Mr. Marshall did not die instantly. He may have left behind the name of the person who took his life, in one manner or another.
That's impossible.
Well, I mean, that is kind of what happened in the not beginning first case, but the first case. Well, Mr. Wright, this is the only possibility left to you. A message from the deceased. Does such a message exist?
Gotta think back to the court record.
I gotta save scum. The real murderer's name that the victim may have left behind is in the evidence. This message from the deceased is already in our possession.
Mr. Wright, will you stop at nothing to prove my sister a murderer?
Do not be mistaken, Miss Sky. Our purpose is not to accuse Emma of any crime. There's only one thing we seek: the truth. No matter how painful it may be. Now then, Mr. Wright, please show us the piece of evidence that conveys a message from the deceased. This is the message left by the deceased. This is the blue badger from before, right?
Oh, is he going to just speak the killer's name?
If that thing could, I'm sure it would.
Looks like everyone's forgotten this is just a jar.
A message was left here, on the surface of this jar. What do you mean?
If you look closely, you can see a faint trail of blood on this jar.
It looks like someone wiped the blood away.
Yes, but notice, for some reason, the blood on some of the fragments was not wiped away.
Yes, there's a line here, drawn in blood. So what you're saying is these dots were once lines.
Prosecutor Marshall did not die instantly. He used the few precious moments left to him to leave behind a message.
One that someone apparently wiped away. But blood must not have seeped into the jar where the lines changed directions.
Precisely so. All we need to do is connect these points, and the victim's message will become apparent. No.
Mr. Wright, what kind of message did the victim leave for us?
Your Honor, I believe these bloodstains will reveal to us the answer. Gotta connect these dots to make letters. There's only one thing the victim could have written given the circumstance. His murderer's name.
Let's see. Oh, what the fuck?
Well, that sucks.
I was going to try and find a way to spell Gant, but, well, the evidence is pretty damning. Looks like it's the chair for you, little girl. It's It's a defense attorney's duty to prove their client's innocence. That's why all I've been thinking about is saving Lana. After all my efforts, I never thought it would turn out like this. Emma. So, this is the final message Prosecutor Marshall left behind. Yep, looks like it. Of all the people, she may not have meant it, but in the end, the one who took the victim's life was Emma Skye. See, Worthy? Can't say I didn't warn you. Chief Gant, do you understand the implications of what you've done? What are you talking about? 2 years ago, Joe Dark was sentenced to death. He was convicted because of his final murder. I believe you were the prosecutor in that case, were you not? Yes, Verdi. Because of you, an innocent man was sentenced to death. Not only that, but you used forged evidence to ensure his conviction. But Joe Dark really was a serial murderer. That's undeniable. I'm afraid that's not important. Didn't you know we aren't defenders of justice? What? We're merely keepers of the law. Sentencing a man to death is no light matter. Even if there wasn't any cover-up or evidence forgery, ultimately the responsibility falls on the prosecutor in charge. Despite what anyone may say, this fact cannot be denied. What's going on at the prosecutor's office? How can you just stand there? Well, the gavel's pounding fell on deaf ears. Unable to settle the crowd, the judge declared a recess. Where this trial is headed, no one knows. Damn. Damn! What the hell? February 25th, 12:06. District Court. Defendant, Lobby Number 2. Sorry, Edgeworth. I didn't mean to get you in trouble. Don't worry about it. This is my problem, not yours. Hope I'm not interrupting anything, pals. Oh, guess I am. I'll come back later. Wait, Detective Gumshoe. What is it? You got a lot of nerve, pal. Making a detective run all around while on duty. And to top it off, you call me here. I've seen happier people at funerals. I take it Lana's having you run errands again. Let me tell you. This is the last time, pal. Here. She asked me to give this to you if there was a break in today's trial. Evidence law. Edgeworth was talking about this just the other day. You must know the 2 rules of evidence law. Rule number 1, no evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department.
Is that right, Mr. Wright?
It seems so.
You could at least study some evidence law, really.
The chief prosecutor also wanted me to give you a message. Message? She said, if you're planning to take him on, you're gonna need this book. Him. I guess I'll need to give this book a thorough read. Doesn't look like that book will do you any good now, though. All that's left now is the chief prosecutor's sentence. That's where you're wrong, detective. Huh? Haven't you figured it out yet? Why I'm still sitting in that prosecutor's seat, despite all these allegations being thrown at me? Mr. Edgeworth, the real trial today hasn't begun yet. What? What else is left to do? Your credibility's been all but ruined with this forged evidence you're unaware of. Emma Skye found out she's unwittingly caused the man's death, and now you're telling me you want to do more? You gotta be kidding me, pal. You're missing the point, Detective. Lana didn't murder Detective Goodman. She merely stuck a knife into his dead body. That means the real killer is still out there. What? And we're going to expose him, no matter what it takes. This case has hurt too many people. It's time to bring it to an end. February 25th, 12:52, District Court, Courtroom Number 9. Court will now reconvene for the trial of Miss Lana Skye. Mr. Edgeworth. Yes, Your Honor. The Inquiry Committee is planning to impose harsh penalties for your actions. Thank you for the news, Your Honor. Very well. Normally, this is where the prosecution calls forth a witness, but, this isn't easy to say. You see, there's some concern that you, Mr. Edgeworth, may have, struck a bargain. You think I may have manipulated the witnesses? I didn't say that. It's just, you see, everyone's been talking and... Very well, Your Honor. I have a solution. A solution? That being the case, the prosecution will allow the defense to call forth all further witnesses. Sorry. Excuse me. What? But there's no precedent for what you're proposing. Undeniably, this is an unusual arrangement, but a very effective one. It would prove that I haven't struck any deals with the witnesses. Well, Mr. Wright, what do you say? Unbelievable. Edgeworth has found a way to continue the trial. Very well. The defense accepts the prosecution's proposal. Then it's settled. The, defense may now call forth the next witness. Mr. Wright, you do realize this is your last chance. If you call the wrong witness, this trial is as good as over. The defense calls Save Scum to the podium. The time's finally come to bring out the real murderer. Mike Meekins! The defense calls Bruce Goodman. Damon Gant. The defense calls Damon Gant to the stand. Jill's Edgeworth voice is now the official English voice for Edgeworth in my headcanon. Yay! I've done it. I have infiltrated your mind palace. Now I'm going to steal your heart. Damon Gant. What does he have to do with anything? As a defendant's partner 2 years ago, Mr. Gant has first-hand knowledge of the crime. I feel we should hear what he has to say about it. As luck would have it, he should still be in the courthouse. He would also be the least likely to have been manipulated by me in any way. Wouldn't you agree, Your Honor? True. All right. Bailiff, please escort Mr. Gant to the stand. If I heard that dub in an anime, I wouldn't bat an eye. I just feel like he just has to have that like hoity-toity like better than thou fancy man voice. He's such a fancy boy. He's got a tea set in his room. Witness, please state your name and occupation. What? Some kind of what is this? Some kind of practical joke? I was just on my way to lunch. Your name and occupation, sir. Worthy, are you sure you want to do this? Your name and occupation. So, do you want to play hardball, eh? Please, Mr. Gant. Fine. My name is Damon Gant. I'm the acting chief of police. Now then, Chief Gant, the court requests to hear your testimony. Oh, righto. What's with the grim face? First, let's clear up the SL9 incident. Oh, you mean that time when Lana's sister murdered the prosecutor? Personally, I think it's been made pretty clear already. There's still some things unaccounted for. Oh? Like what? Like the role you played in all of this. Son, either you are very brave, or very foolish. You are aware, of course, that the police chief has all kinds of weapons at his disposal. Weapons? Sure. Take my testimony, for example. I don't have to give it if I don't want to. What? Is that true? I'm afraid so. The chief of police has the right to refuse to testify. Of course, such an action carries with it certain risks. Don't worry, I'm not here to hinder your trial. Just remember, if this turns out to be a big waste of time, don't say I didn't warn you. Very well. The witness may now begin his testimony. As I recall, Neil and I were questioning him that day. To make a long story short, we slipped up. That power outage didn't help either. When I went to my office, I found Lana there. Apparently, she had already arranged the crime scene. As you can see, I had nothing to do with the forgery. Is that when Dark was arrested? Him? He was lying on the floor unconscious. When Emma sent Neil flying, it seemed Dark bumped his head. I see. Everything seems pretty clear-cut. If the police chief has the right to refuse to testify, then I better hit him hard and fast. All right. As I recall, a ceremony was held at the police department that day. Yes, that's right. I guess you could say I'm a workaholic. After winning his award, Neil was all fired up too. That's probably what spooked Dark and made him run away like that. Was the defendant Lana Skye also present in the room? I don't quite remember. At the very least, she wasn't there when Dark ran for it. So the two of you ran immediately after him, right? That's right, but Dark made it to the elevator first, so Neil and I split up. He went upstairs, and I went down. I guess you could say he got lucky. What's this about a power outage? Oh, that! The elevator stopped all of a sudden, and I got to the shock of my life. Well, probably not as shocked as Neil was when that knife went through his heart, though. That's not funny. Could you tell us what you saw? It was a shocking sight. Neil and that serial killer were lying in a heap on the floor, all tangled up. Dark was also lying collapsed on the floor. Yes, apparently he hit his head and was knocked out. Next to them were those two poor girls, Lana and Emma. Lana was cradling Emma in her arms. Looking back at it now, she must have already known what her sister had done. How can you know that? Because of the victim's body. If it had already been moved. So that means you found the body near Lana's desk? That's right. I think you said earlier it was my suit of armor that really stabbed the prosecutor? Yes. Anyway. So you're saying that the forgery had already taken place by the time you arrived at your office? So that's exactly what I'm saying. I can understand how Lana must have felt, but moving a body and hiding evidence are inexcusable no matter what the circumstances. Is that really how it went down? Staring at the witness won't do you any good, Mr. Wright. If you're going to stare at anything, you'd be better off staring at the court record. Worthy. Always the smooth talker. But which piece of evidence ties Gant to the forgery? Lana did admit to forging evidence, but that can't be the whole truth. Somehow, I've got to link Gant to the incident. What do we have? Linking Gant. Need to check this. Oh, oops. I presented that to the wrong bit. Found Lana there, apparently. As you can see, I have nothing to do with the thing, except for the fact that this was in your locked safe. If you really had nothing to do with the forgery, then how do you explain this? What's that? And what's that on it? A handprint? Chief Gant, your explanation, please. I don't know. You tell me, son. Huh? My dear Writo, don't you know the second rule of evidence law? Uh-oh, not this again. Evidence law. Rule number 2. Unregistered evidence presented must be relevant to the case on trial. Tell me, how is that rag relevant to this trial? It appears the defense was not prepared. Guess it's too early to use this piece of evidence. Please accept my profound apologies. Would you mind giving the defense another chance? Well, okay, I'll do it only this once, but only because you asked, Ajit. Thank you. I assure you the defense is terribly sorry. Ha ha ha. Yeah, sorry I didn't nail you. Okay, so I can't use that. Take this. You claim you had nothing to do with the forgery, but I'm afraid that is a claim you cannot back up. Explain yourself. Several pieces of evidence were found in your office. Take this list, for example. That's the list Emma Sky drew her picture on. This was discovered in your desk.
Not only that, but a piece of this jar that was sitting in your office was found inside your safe.
It was found where?
You see, Chief Gant, these articles of evidence uncovered in your office are both concrete proof that you also played a part in the illegal investigation.
Chief Gant, what's the meaning of this?
Oh, here's a defense attorney who may even rival Worthy. So you admit it then, that you were involved in the forgery? Who, me? Or do you mean you? Me? Why would I have anything to do with that? Well, you was the one who snuck into my office when you found this evidence. Prosecutors aren't the only ones capable of forging evidence, you know. Defense attorneys can do so too. Isn't that right? Righto. However, Detective Gumshoe was present during the investigation. Worthy, my boy. Not even detectives are exempt from the law. Rest assured, Dick will receive a beating.
Nice.
What? If Detective Gumshoe's salary drops any further, he'll end up paying to work.
Well, yes, well, in light of the detective's presence, please give your testimony regarding these pieces of evidence found in your office and the relation to the forgery that took place at the crime scene.
My. Kids these days no longer know how to put two and two together. Let's see, what was it now? A jar fragment and a list. For all I know, you could have planted them in my office. Anyway, you can't prove when these pieces of evidence were discovered. If they were found after Doc was convicted, then they're worthless. There's no reason I'd participate in a forgery. Rearranging the crime scene wouldn't help me out in any way.
Mr. Wright,
Yes, Your Honor?
when investigating the crime scene, you should have been more careful to observe protocol.
You do understand that I'm chief of police, right? There will be consequences. Oh. Indeed, I believe I will press charges so you won't make the same mistake again.
My apologies, Chief, but would you mind waiting until tomorrow for that? Today is, well, you know.
All right, OG. In return, though...
I know.
That place, right? Huh? What are these guys, telepathic? I'd appreciate it if you stopped making these ridiculous allegations. Yes, you do have a point. You wouldn't have the guts to do something like that. What? I'll have you know, back in the day, I once broke into a cattle ranch and tipped...
Mr. Wright, what are you saying?
Anyway, you can't prove you didn't carry in the evidence, can you? If you have proof to the contrary, you're going to need it later. Later? What are you talking about? What else? I'm talking about when Raito's prints are found. Yes, if they're found inside my safe, they would prove his investigation was illegal. Never faced anyone as slimy as this guy. Anyway, you can't prove... What do you mean by that? This is all purely hypothetical, of course, but suppose I didn't place those items in my safe. Such an act wouldn't necessarily constitute forgery. If concealing evidence found at a crime scene isn't forgery... I'm not through speaking yet, Righto. It all depends on when the evidence was discovered. Are you saying this jar fragment wasn't discovered in the initial investigation?
Chill, you got a question. What's up? It would appear not. After all, it wasn't listed in the evidence list. For all we know, it could have been suddenly materialized the day after Doc was sentenced. Oh, and wouldn't that be convenient? Right. The chief is talking about a possibility. So long as you can't rule that out, your remarks, however clever they may be, will only succeed in wasting time. Why was 7 afraid of 6? I don't know. Come on, Wright-o. Think about it! How can you look me in the eye and say that? Because I'm innocent. Remember? Who was it that murdered Neil? Because 687. Why do you always come to me first? Why don't you go to Mom? Oh, there you go. I'm not sure I care for the word murder here, but in the end, the person responsible for Mr. Marshall's unfortunate demise was Emma Skye. The doggos thought it was funny. And, oh, I don't have that sound anymore. Or do I? Here's their response. Well, now do you see? Really, Chief Gant? At the very least, there's one very large benefit you reaped from all of this. Oh? I wasn't aware. What is this benefit? That would, of course, be the position you have. Chief of Police. Oh. The resolution of the SL9 incident secured your promotion to chief. That in itself is sufficient motive. Oh, such a good one. Huh? Do you really think I'm that incompetent? What do you mean? Even without that case, I was already in line to become the next chief. The resolution of the SL9 merely sped up the inevitable a little. Is that true, Edgeworth? Yes. He was going to be made chief anyway. Be careful when pointing that finger, or you might wind up being the one pointed at. So, that means there's only one possible motivation for you to commit forgery. If you didn't do it for yourself, then you did it for someone else. Don't be silly, Worthy! You know me better than that. There are only 3 people I look out for. Me, myself, and I. There. It's out in the open now. Oji, would you mind if I change my testimony a little? By all means, do. I wouldn't be anyone's accomplice if there was nothing in it for me. Nothing in it for you? Sorry, but the only person I care about is yours truly. That girl, Lana's little sister, was it? If you think I felt sorry for her, you better think again. You're right. You don't feel sorry for anyone. Be tough on crime and tough on people. That's how I was raised. You seem to be lax enough on yourself, though. That's a good one, Worthy. Could there have been something in it for him? Given his selfishness, would he have helped someone out? True. You might not help out anyone for their sake, but if it would benefit you, you might decide to assist someone. Mr. Wright, it appears you're positively determined to betray the chief. as a nice man who likes to lend people a hand.
That's not what I mean.
Very well then. Who is the person you believe Chief Gant may have helped?
Righto, my boy. The look on your face is almost enough to motivate me, even me, to help you out. Yeah, I figured. I thought there might be some sort of, like, collusion with, Goodman because of the case that they were all taking part in. But yeah, if he's not the one, then it's obviously Lana.
Lana!
Danger zone!
Chief Prosecutor Lana Skye? The defendant?
I believe it's quite obvious in light of the circumstances. Emma Skye fell victim to an unfortunate series of events. Who would want to help her more than her own sister, Lana? And as for Chief Gant, he would also have a reason to help Lana if she asked him to. That reason, of course, is self-profit.
Self-profit? What do you mean?
After the SL9 incident was resolved, Lana Skye was appointed chief prosecutor at the prosecutor's office. The person who arranged this job change was you, Chief Gant.
But how would he profit from all of this?
He would be able to use chief prosecutor as his puppet. Essentially, he would acquire unchecked authority over all investigations.
Do you mean to tell me that despite the chief's formidable appearance, he plays with puppets? Oh, wait. You must mean puppet as in someone forced to do his bidding. Never mind.
Admit it, Chief. You assisted Lana Skye in forging evidence. Your motive? To appoint her as chief prosecutor so you could control her. Righto, my boy. You have quite an imagination. Let me ask you something.
What?
Do you have any proof of this? That I controlled Lana? For example, is Lana testifying that I've done such a thing? Of course she wouldn't. Lana, she's keeping quiet to protect Emma. There's no way she'd testify against Gant.
I'm afraid without any proof, this all amounts to nothing more than mere conjecture.
I'm wondering if what's it called? Gant used what's-his-nuts blood to write out Emma's name on the jar. I don't know. Unless that is also what happened in this incident.
This incident? Which one would that be?
Of course I'm talking about the murder of Detective Bruce Goodman. The chief prosecutor has been acting strange throughout this entire trial. Almost as if someone has been controlling her. Worthy, you better watch your tongue. I wouldn't want you to get hurt.
Just what do you mean?
What he means, Your Honor, is that Chief Gant is involved in the murder of Detective Goodman. Not only that, but the chief is now making Lana take the rap to cover up his involvement.
What? Order! I said order! Mr. Wright, you can't be serious.
Huh?
This is an affront to the highest ranking officer in our law enforcement agency. To accuse the chief of police of blackmail and murder. That impossible!
Your Honor, I was merely reiterating what Mr. Edgeworth said in easier to understand language. It's too late, Mr. Wright. There's no turning back for us now. Looks like he's the one who decided to go through with this.
Can you prove this, Mr. Wright? That the chief, a high-ranking officer of the law, is involved in this murder?
Good question. Regardless of his rank or title, Chief Gant is just a man. The question is he a criminal? I believe the evidence will tell.
I see. All right, then. Let's see what Mr. Wright's got, and it better be good. Show us this evidence that ties Chief Gant to the murder of Detective Goodman.
Well, Chief, so long as Righto here is tossing out things regardless of their relevance, mind if I toss something too udgy? This shoe should do nicely. I'll chuck it right at you.
You always were quite the joker, weren't you?
Oops. Looks like I got it wrong.
This is the ID card list.
Yes, the one that shows who entered the evidence room on the day of the crime. There was one ID on the list we couldn't determine the owner of yesterday. 7. Sorry, but there's no way you can prove that that's my card number. It's your number.
What? How do you know that?
The safe in Chief Gant's office requires a code to open. A 7-digit code.
7 digits. You don't mean...
I'm afraid so, Your Honor. The code was 7777777. The same as the remaining ID card number on that list. Chief Gant, you entered the evidence room on the day of the crime.
Order! Order! Chief Gant, what do you have to say?
Nothing. The defense search of my office was in violation of regulations. And I will demand Mr. Wright be punished to the maximum extent of the law. But right now, this court demands an explanation from you about the use of this ID card.
Chief Gant, so you admit it. You entered the evidence room on the day of the crime.
What about it? I'm chief of police. Whether it's the evidence room or the bathroom, what's the difference? I can go anywhere I want. Tell me, when you entered the room, were you alone? I always go to the bathroom alone, as I do with the evidence room. Detective Goodman wouldn't have happened to be with you that day, would he? Of course not. Why would he have been? I hadn't seen him in days. You hadn't seen him in days? Chief Gant, I'm afraid you've just undone yourself. On that day, you had to have met with Detective Goodman.
What do you mean? This trial's purpose is to determine Lana Sky's guilt.
No, it isn't, Your Honor. This trial's purpose is to determine the truth. If Chief Gant met the victim on the day of the crime, then we need to determine one thing. What transpired during that meeting?
In that case, Mr. Wright, I'm going to have to ask you for evidence. Show us proof that the victim went to meet Chief Gant on the day of the crime.
Do-do-do-do-do.
Wouldn't be that. Wouldn't be that. Wouldn't be that. Is it that? Detective Goodman lost his ID card on the day of the crime. Well, to be more accurate, Jake Marshall stole it. So Detective Goodman filed out a lost item report. He would have to give that report to the chief of police. Yet you are in possession of the report, which means you can't be sure if he filed it. He filed it. How do I know, you ask? Because he needed to enter the evidence room that day. He needed to? Yes, to transfer the evidence out. Oh. Detective Goodman took the form to you, Chief Gant. Then, you accompanied the detective to the evidence room. I accompanied him? There's no other way that murderer and Detective Goodman could have entered the room. Hold on. Let me guess what you're going to say next. I, the chief of police, murdered poor Goodman. Exactly. But wait. The chief didn't necessarily need to accompany him to the evidence room. He could have just lent him his ID card. Yes. Now that you mention it, I believe I might have done something of the sort. Sorry, but that's not possible. According to the record, your card was only used once. Yet you showed us your ID card earlier. If you had really lent it to Detective Goodman, it would have been found on his body. No! Chief Gant, you didn't. The murder was most likely a spur-of-the-moment crime, for no one in their right mind would choose the police department as a place to commit the murder. After the murder, you contacted Lana at the prosecutor's office. Why? To dispose of Detective Goodman's body, of course. You're forgetting, Mr. Wright, that the victim's body was discovered in the prosecutor's office parking lot. How did he manage to move it there? I was at the police station the entire day, you know. And everyone's aware that Lana stayed at the prosecutor's office after the ceremony. Everyone except me, it seems. Still, you're the chief of police. You have an entire police force at your disposal. Oh, so you think I just ordered an officer to do it? Hey you! Take this here dead body over to the prosecutor's office. I don't think so. Chief Gant, you left all the evidence we need to prove how you moved the body to the prosecutor's office. And all this time I thought it was just a useless clue taking up space. How would the chief have moved the body? Mr. Wright, show us this evidence. To move the victim's body, Chief Gant used this. My attorney's badge. What is it? The cloth? No. Screwdriver? Router, what the answer is? No. Maybe the... Well, no, the security video wouldn't... No. I don't know. I already saved. Let's try this. Well, I see. Maybe I'll use this later to move your dead body, Mr. Wright. I'll help you dispose of it. Something they use to move a dead body. This is how he moved Detective Goodman's body. What's that? A screwdriver? But what does that have to do with this case? Mr. Edgeworth, think back to the day of the crime. What is the screwdriver doing here? It's here because... Ah! I was asked to go, by Chief Gant no less. He told me he wanted me to keep it here in the prosecutor's office. In any case, on the day of the stabbings, I brought this back here. After the ceremony ended that day, I didn't plan to return to the prosecutor's office. But you did, because Chief Gant asked you to. You mean The body was found in the trunk of Mr. Edgeworth's car. I think it's obvious what happened. The body was moved by that car. Detective Goodman's body was carried in the trunk of Mr. Edgeworth's car? Yes. Unless, of course, you have another explanation, Chief? Why else would you have asked Mr. Edgeworth to transport evidence from a closed case? There's only one plausible reason, or explanation. To transport the body to your accomplice, Ms. Lana Skye. Order! Order! What's going on here? Is there no room for rebuttal to the defense's outrageous accusations? Think back to the photograph Ms. Starr took at the prosecutor's office. This was not a photo of the body being stuffed in the trunk to be taken away. It was exactly the opposite. It is a photo of the body being taken from the trunk. Chief Gant, please, say something. I believe... Your time's up. My time's up? Sorry, Righto, but I'm having lunch with the District Attorney General after this. We have to get going if we're going to make it in time for the early bird special. But... the cross-examination isn't over yet. Remember what I told you earlier? A police chief has all kinds of weapons at his disposal. Weapons? Like the right to refuse to testify. I'm invoking that right now. What? That is not a right to be casually invoked. There are certain risks to be considered.
So you're going to just run away after all of this? Run away? Don't make me laugh, Worthy. I stabbed old Goodman. That's what you're saying, right? But if you had any conclusive evidence, you would have presented it by now. Well, You think I had Lana dispose of the body? If so, then show your proof and get it over with.
I'll say it again, Mr. Wright. Damon Gant is the current chief of police. This court will not tolerate any accusations against him without concrete proof. Well, Mr. Wright?
Your Honor?
Do you have any concrete proof? Proof that Chief Gant murdered Detective Goodman and made Ms. Skye dispose of his body.
Do I have any concrete proof? I can't let him just squirm his way out of this. I've got to keep the pressure on him. Yes, Your Honor, I do have evidence.
Then please hurry up and present it. Just remember, it better prove Chief Gant murdered Detective Goodman beyond a shadow of a doubt.
What?
It's no use showing evidence. I'm not even sure of myself. No, Your Honor. At present, I have no conclusive evidence.
See, Oji?
In that case, this court is forced to penalize you for your actions against the chief.
What?
Here's a tip.
Oh, here's a tip. Never gamble what you can't afford to lose, Righto. It seems that Lady Luck was on my side again today. Okay, Aji, I'll leave the rest to you.
I warned you earlier, Mr. Wright. This is an affront to a senior officer in our nation's law enforcement agency.
What?
Lady Luck, Maybe we should have a word with her. Mr. Edgeworth, what do you mean?
There's one lady who knows the real truth behind this trial. We haven't yet had the honor of hearing her testimony.
A lady who knows the truth.
Another witness. In the absence of conclusive evidence, the only other method of proof is testimony. But Chief Gant has invoked his right to refuse to testify. There's still someone else. One more witness who can answer all the questions raised in this trial. Someone right in this very room.
Mr. Edgeworth, who is this person?
Why are you asking me, Your Honor? Have you forgotten? The defense is the one calling witnesses today.
Mr. Wright, does such a witness exist?
She may not be willing to tell the truth, but we can't just stop now. Yes, Your Honor. The defense calls forth Emma Skye!
The defendant. The Ms. Lana Skye.
She was in the underground parking lot at 5:15 p.m. on February 21st. Her task, to dispose of the victim's body. In accordance with a certain someone's orders.
Mr. Edgeworth?
The prosecution has no objections, Your Honor.
Very well. The court will now take its final recess for the day. In 15 minutes, we will reconvene to hear the defendant's testimony. This court is now Hold on!
Huh?
Chief Gant! I thought you were going to eat.
Listen good, Lana.
He's talking to Lana.
I don't think you need me to tell you this, but if you accept Mr. Wright's claims,
There will be terrible consequences. So that's right. Your sister will be found guilty for Neil Marshall's murder. Ah! This is not good. Of course, you'd never support such outrageous claims anyway, right? Just something to think about. Alright, son. I've got a lunch date to meet. This guy is using blackmail in court. Okay, if there aren't any further objections, this court is now in recess. Alright. That is a good time. Spot to save it. Ah! And we will have the exciting conclusion in a couple of weeks. Woo! Exciting. Okay, that's it for me tonight. Join us on Friday. More Yakuza 0. More Persona 5 on Monday. Tuesday we'll be reading, and then Wednesday. Well, I gotta go to work. I start at 9, so yeah, unfortunately, as much as I would also like to just wrap this up, it doesn't look like that's gonna happen today, at least. Yeah, Monday will be Persona. He's wearing his big boy shirt. Tuesday will be starting book 4 of Harry Potter. And then Wednesday will be the thrilling conclusion of Metroid Prime 2. Wrapping up a lot of stuff and starting new stuff all at the same time. New book. Gonna be doing a gonna be a new Metroid after this next stream. Gonna be a new, possibly Phoenix Wright 2 Electric Boogaloo after this next Phoenix Wright stream. Gonna be a lot of wrapping up of things and starting new stuff. It's exciting. It's all exciting. So anyways, join us on Friday, 6 o'clock. We will see you later. So until next time, night night, and don't let the blackmail bite. See ya.